This is my 2003 GMC Yukon. Really, it's a Suburban. And today we're finally going to upgrade a part that has been giving me problems for a long time. So this is kind of my, daily / weekend adventure mobile. You can see right now I'm out here about to go dirt biking. And so I want to keep it pretty tame, but a couple of these spots to get to, it is nice to have a little lift. So it's got about a 2-inch lift on it. And ever since I've done that lift, it has eaten through upper control arms. So to this point in time, I've just been replacing it with factory control arms from the junkyard. They're like 20 bucks a pop. They last me 6 months to a year. And then the ball joint would wear out because it's extending past its range of travel since this vehicle's lifted. But recently, a company called FlashArc reached out and wanted to see if I want to do a collaboration. I looked through, they make a bunch of like turbo kits and things like that, but they also had some upper control arms for the Chevy trucks. So I figured, hey, might as well try them out. And so today we are going to install some of those control arms on the GMC. The big thing here is we're going to look at the reasons why you would replace those control arms and go through the installation process and then kind of an overview at the end. So the primary reason you want to replace your control arms is to get your alignment back within spec. So a lot of times when you lift the vehicle, you're not going to be able to get your camber or caster corrected. Since the control arms at ride height are no longer at the factory flat and level position, now at ride height they're going to be slightly pointed downwards, which not only is going to limit your down travel range of motion, but like I said, that's also for your camber and caster adjustments. You're not really going to be able to get them back to what the factory spec should be. So by upgrading the control arms, there's a lot of companies that make these, but they're going to be generally a tiny bit longer. The ball joint is going to be slightly offset, and that's going to allow you to get back to the factory spec for alignment. On top of that, a lot of aftermarket control arms might have like some nicer ball joints or bushings that may last a little bit longer with extra abuse. That's not necessarily something I need with this. It's primarily driven on the road with just some mild off-road to get to a couple, outdoor locations, but definitely nice to have. So swapping out the control arms on these Chevy trucks is super easy. And honestly, it's pretty much the same on any independent front suspension car, such as Tacomas, 4Runners, all that good stuff. You pretty much have 3 main bolts, and then there's going to be a couple other small things that are attached onto that control arm, such as brake lines or ABS lines. So we're going to go ahead and loosen all these up, pop this control arm off, and swap it over to the FlashArc one. So here's the factory upper control arm. Here is the ABS line. This guy is just a pushed in like Christmas tree clip, so this is going to pop off. A little 10 mil bolt here that attaches the brake line, so just zip that off. We are going to undo this bolt and just kind of tug this brake line out of the way so we can remove the upper control arm bolt. You want to go ahead and loosen the nut on the bottom of this ball joint, and then we're going to smack that knuckle with a hammer to break that ball joint loose, and the control arm will pop right off of there. So let's grab some wrenches and dive into it. So I'm not able to get in alignment right after I do this, so I do like to take a Sharpie and mark where these alignment pins were, just so that way when I put everything back on, I can line it up close to where it was, so I can drive it over to the alignment shop, and then they can take care of it from there. Then I've gotten this ball joint, the nut loosened up. It's just on by a thread or two. We're going to smack this knuckle with a big hammer to be able to break that loose. And you want to smack on the knuckle itself, not on the ball joint. But that being said, you can also use a ball joint removal tool. I just find this method to be a little quicker and easier. And before I do that, we're going to pop off this ABS line. And then we're going to pop off this brake line. And this guy should just come right out. There we go. All right, now we're going to toss in this Flash Arc one. These are not left and right specific, even the factory arms aren't, so you can grab whichever one, and we'll go ahead and slide it in. All right, now these bolts I'd like to just get finger tight, so that way there's still plenty of movement and adjustment in them. And now we're gonna go ahead and slide this ball joint in. All right, now we got these control arm bolts back in. We can reconnect this brake line mount. And then we can go on to attaching these brake line and ABS lines. Now, one dig on these control arms, it does not come with a new mount for the ABS line. What I did find though is a 1/4-inch hose clamp fits perfectly around the rubber. So we're gonna go ahead and pop off this factory plastic. But I feel like that's kind of a bracket that should, come with the kit. It'd be super simple. But here's standard 1/4-inch hose clamp. We're gonna pop the rubber off of it. And then this goes around here perfectly to build them out. Now we're just gonna align these cam tabs to where our Sharpie marks were and tighten them down. Now, normally you'd want to tighten these when the weight is on the vehicle, but I'm just going to tighten them down where they are now because when I get the alignment done, they're going to loosen these cam tabs up to adjust them and then tighten them back with the weight on the vehicle anyways. So not a big deal, just to tighten them up the way they are now. So now this install is totally complete. The only other thing is, since you are going to get an alignment, it's probably good to go ahead and check and replace any other steering or suspension wear items, just because that can affect the alignment and you don't want to pay for an alignment twice. So in my instance, I'm actually going to go ahead and swap out these tie rod ends as well, but don't have to do that if nothing's worn out. So I'm going to knock that out, and then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to lubricate the new tie rod ends and unscrew this cap on the upper control arm and put a little extra lube into the ball joint on the control arm as well, and we'll be good to go. So fast forward again, we've gotten these things installed and I've gotten a couple thousand miles on them. So to kind of start off, I've never heard of Flash Arc before. It's obviously a smaller company where they're probably importing a lot of product. But for the price point, for $200, it's a decent upper control arm. Upper control arms from these range anywhere from $50 to $400 to $500. So, it's definitely an affordable level. The ball joints seem decent, and I was excited that they are serviceable. There's a snap ring and you can remove the ball joint. Now, whether or not you can find replacements, I don't know, but they are replaceable at least. And obviously the rubber bushings up top, they state that you can swap them out for poly, which I wouldn't do for a daily driver, but that kind of indicates there would be replacements for those as well. And that's really the number one thing for these suspension parts for longevity is, do they have service parts 5-10 years from now? With a company like Flash Arc, I'm not positive that's going to be the case, but so far the stuff that's in there has been holding up fine. But again, I only have 1,000, 2,000 miles on it, so I can't really say long term how these will hold up. But for the price point, it's definitely a decent option. If you guys are interested in picking up some of these, they did give me a discount code. It is discount code MACHINE, so you guys can put that in. I believe it's a 15% off discount. So feel free to use that if you want to get some control arms for your truck, or if you want to do, like I said, I think they have a lot of turbo, manifolds, exhaust, stuff like that. Maybe I can talk them into giving me a turbo for a new project. But all in all, I've been happy with these. They've aligned the vehicle correctly. Hopefully I won't blow through ball joints as fast. And they do actually give you a tiny bit more down travel on the suspension as well. So another perk, a little bit more suspension travel. But I want to say thank you to Flash Arc for sponsoring this video and sending out the control arms. I'll let you guys know long term if these hold up all right. I'm definitely excited to have this thing set up for summer camping and cruising. You guys can see I've got a rooftop tent and an awning and the dirt bike rack. This is just like a super comfortable, super easy weekend mobile to go out and go ride and not have to worry about, is this vehicle going to get me there, or how comfortable or how loud it is, aka the Jeep. So yeah, looking forward to putting some more miles in this thing. I'll report back on how these control arms do, and we'll spend as much time outside as possible. As always, guys, really appreciate you following along. If you guys want to follow me on Instagram, I am at Machines Inc. Jake. If you guys enjoy this kind of content and want to see some more Machines Inc. fab and 4x4 work, definitely make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, share it, all that good stuff. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.